Hello everyone and welcome to the Midnight Archives. I'm Corbin. Today's story comes from a viewer in Hong Kong, China. Before we begin, I just want to say we welcome submissions from all over the world. Of course, I'll be sharing them here in English. Okay, enough from me. Let's begin. My name is Ming. Back then, I worked in IT in an old industrial building in Kwun Tong, dealing with overheating servers and endless fluorescent lights every day. It was autumn 2019, just after the Hungry Ghost Festival. The smell of burnt joss paper still hung in the air. I'd been pulling all-nighters for a week to meet a project deadline. Every night I left the office, the sky was ink black. That night, at 3:30 a.m., I finally saved the last line of code. I was the only one left on the entire floor. The hum of the central air conditioning was eerily loud. Rubbing my sore neck, I stepped into the elevator and saw my tired reflection in the stainless steel walls. A ride-hailing app showed a car had accepted my request. A red taxi was nearby. The car arrived. An old Toyota Crown, its red paint dull under the streetlights. I opened the passenger door, and a strong scent washed over me, sandalwood mixed with something herbal. "Saiwan, please," I said, collapsing into the seat and closing my eyes. The driver was a man in his 50s wearing a faded polo shirt. He grunted in reply and asked nothing else. We drove through Kwun Tong Road. All the shop shutters were closed like rows of coffins. Just before entering the Lion Rock Tunnel, I accidentally glanced at the rearview mirror. A dark, blurry figure was sitting in the back right seat. My eyes snapped wide open. All sleepiness vanished. In the tunnel's entrance lights, I saw it clearly. A woman with her head down, long hair covering her face, wearing dark red clothes. Her posture was unnatural, one shoulder higher than the other. I held my breath, digging my nails into my palms. Through the mirror, I saw the driver also glancing into it, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. "Young man," he said suddenly, his voice dry. "Working this late? Still need to drop your friend off first?" My blood ran cold. There was clearly someone in the back. Why was he asking that? I swallowed hard, my voice trembling. "Driver, what do you see?" Right at that moment, the tunnel lights flared. I saw clearly. The woman in the mirror slowly raised her head at an unnatural angle. Between the strands of hair was no face, only a blurred shadow. The driver slammed the accelerator. The car shot into the tunnel like a bullet. He slapped a yellowed talisman stuck above the dashboard. I heard him whispering rapidly, scriptures or maybe curses. The tunnel lights flickered. In one flashing moment, the shadow in the mirror vanished. But at that exact second, I felt an icy cold breath on the back of my neck. "Don't look back!" the driver shouted sharply, sweat beading on his forehead. "Look at the talisman!" I stared dead ahead at the flickering charm, my nails cutting into my skin. The tunnel felt endless. Only the roar of the engine and the driver's frantic chanting filled my ears. When we finally shot out of the tunnel, the driver slumped in his seat, exhausted. The steering wheel was soaked with sweat. He pulled over on Saiwan Road and drove off almost before I'd fully closed the door. The encounter shook me deeply. I couldn't shake the fear. When I got home, my grandmother was still awake. She took one look at my pale face and knew something was wrong. I told her everything: the late hour, the driver's strange question, his panic, the talisman, his final warning. Her face turned grave. "Silly boy," she whispered, fear and concern in her voice. She hurried to the kitchen, grabbed a handful of rice, and sprinkled it in a circle around me, chanting softly. She explained that the driver was no ordinary man. He knew the old ways. He had seen something or felt something that had entered the car with me. His question wasn't a question. It was a test, a warning. He was asking that thing where it wanted to go. When I said I was alone, he realized I was unaware of the invisible passenger I'd brought into his cab. His sudden speed, the talisman, his chanting, it wasn't panic. It was a ritual. He was taking control, protecting us both, using the tunnel itself to trap that energy, dispel it on the other side, and deliver me safely home. His final words were a blessing, a powerful phrase to break any taboo I might have accidentally crossed. The Lion Rock Tunnel. My grandmother's voice dropped to a whisper. It was built on old burial grounds, Ming, full of restless spirits, especially during Ghost Month. They look for rides. They seek company. You were very, very lucky. That night, you didn't hail a taxi, Ming. You hailed a guardian. I never took a late-night taxi again. Whenever I pass that tunnel, day or night, I always look at the roadside. I see the burnt offerings, the little piles of ash from spirit money burned for lonely souls. And I think of that driver, tired-faced, sharp-eyed. I never got his name, never thanked him. All that remains is his question, forever echoing in my mind. Need to take your friend home first? That's all for today's story. Thanks for listening. So, friends, that was Ming's encounter in the Lion Rock Tunnel. We may never know what kind of passenger was in the back of that taxi that night, or who that mysterious driver truly was. A hidden master of folk arts? Or something beyond? But this story reminds us that behind this vibrant city, in the depths of its lonely midnight tunnels, there may be rules and boundaries we don't understand. Sometimes, the most terrifying thing isn't what we see clearly, but what we almost see, lingering at the edge of vision. Next time you find yourself riding alone late at night, take a glance in the rearview mirror. And if the driver asks if you need to take your friend home first, remember, don't look back. I'm Corbin. Until next time on the Midnight Archives, drive safe and get home safely.